do you think about butter? Is it better? I mean, butter makes casseroles and biscuits taste yummy. But is it better for your health? Let's talk about a question the internet cannot stop arguing about. Is butter better? Well, if you ask TikTok, the answer is yes. But if you ask your arteries, they'll get riled up with some inflammation. Today, we're clearing up the confusion.
Healthy isn't just what you do, it's who you become. I'm Dr. Vicki, and this is Healthy Looks Great on You, a lifestyle medicine podcast to help you reclaim your energy, your focus, and your well-being. Life tested, doctor approved.
All fats are not created equal. Let's start with the basics. There are three big hitters when it comes to macronutrients. Protein, which everyone is obsessed with, carbs, who get a bad rap and blamed for everything, and fats. Protein is like the homecoming queen of macronutrients. Everybody wants more of it. And most Americans get more than enough protein if they eat the standard American diet. Now, those of us who try to eat plant-forward do have to be careful to get enough protein to maintain muscle mass. Want to see my biceps? Not today. But stay tuned for an upcoming episode on maintaining muscle mass as you age. I think I've got that one figured out. Now, what about carbs? They get blamed for everything from weight gain to global warming. When it comes to carbs, there are good players and bad actors, but whole food, plant-based carbs are rock stars. Whole grains and fiber-rich plants feed your gut microbiome, so your intestines can crank out hormones and neurotransmitters that support good sleep and good mood. Yes, your oatmeal is part therapist, part pharmacist. And if you want to see exactly what I keep in my own pantry and freezer to make quick, balanced meals with protein and good carbs, go to my website, healthylooksgreatonyou.com, and grab my free, no plan, no problem pantry guide. There are a few recipes included, and they're made up of healthy carbs. But today we're talking about F-A-T. And it's not a dirty word, it's one of the big three. And choosing the right fats can change your health. But like carbs, there are good fats and bad fats. Unlike carbs, they actually look different chemically and structurally. Let's go to mini medical school and learn why fat structure matters, because once you understand this, it's all going to make sense. And then when you read something, you'll know whether it's true or not. So in today's mini medical school, we're going to take a look at biochemistry that looks a little bit like geometry and why fat structure matters. And don't worry, this is the fun kind of science. Yes, that is a thing. You're welcome. First, a pop quiz though. How many calories in 1 gram of carbohydrates? 4. 4 kilocalories for 1 gram. What about protein? Well, it's the same. There are 4 kilocalories in 1 gram of protein too. They're equal. But fat has 9 kilocalories per gram. So of course it's going to be the most controversial macro that shows up at dinner. There are 3 different types of fat. One's good, one not so good, and one that's actually banned. Saturated fat, unsaturated fat, and trans fats. And trans fats are also called partially hydrogenated oils. And they're made up of heating liquid vegetable oils in the presence of hydrogen gas, which is cheap and it was added to a lot of junk food. But it's so unhealthy that it's pretty much been made illegal since 2018. So let's focus on the players that you're actually going to meet in everyday food. And let's start with appearance. Fats are made up of chains of fatty acids. Let's look at saturated fat first. It's the sticky one. In saturated fats, all the bonds are single and straight, like dry spaghetti. They're easy to stack and they're easy to clump. And that structure makes saturated fats solid at room temperature. Think butter, cheese, yogurt, ice cream, meat, and shortening. And if fat is solid outside your body, well, it tends to behave a little solid inside your body too. The American Heart Association recommends keeping saturated fat to less than 6% of your total calories. And that's because decades of science show that saturated fat can raise your LDL, your bad cholesterol, and that increases the risk of heart disease. And while we're pulling receipts, the dietary guidelines for Americans say the same thing. So if you hear social media whispering that butter is back or that meat is magically heart healthy again, just remember your mini medical school training because the structure tells the story. Something solid at room temperature is saturated, soaked with single carbon bonds, and it's solid. Now picture this. You eat yogurt because you think it's healthy, especially Greek yogurt, because they put a big label on the front that shows it's got lots of protein and you want big muscles. So you eat the saturated dairy fat that sticks together outside the body, and what does it do inside? Yeah. And while I'm quoting the experts, here's a statement from the current dietary guidelines. Saturated fat has health risk. Unsaturated fat has health benefits. I put a link to download this document in the show notes, and you really should read it for yourself. There is some good, time-tested, research-proven advice in there. Hold up a minute, Houston. We have a problem. These are the dietary guidelines and heart disease remains the #1 killer of Americans? What's up with that? Well, is it the guidelines? Could it be that most people don't follow the guidelines? So if you hear that the guidelines are changing and that butter is better and you should eat more meat, think about the biochemical structure. You've been to many medical school and you understand how to compare saturated fats to unsaturated fats, how they look on the outside, and how that plays out on the inside. So let's look at the helpful ones. Unsaturated fats are usually liquid at room temperature. They flow through your arteries, through your olive oil bottle, they flow. Their chemical structure has a bend or a kink. Think spiral pasta instead of straight spaghetti. And that bend keeps them from lining up neatly, which means they don't clump and clog. There are 2 types of unsaturated fats, mono and poly. Let's look at monounsaturated fats. Mono means 1. See? Med school is easy. These include olive oil, canola oil, peanut oil, avocados, nuts. Polyunsaturated fats just means more than 1 double bond. These include seeds and nuts, legumes, and fatty fish like salmon. Unsaturated fats help reduce inflammation, lower LDL cholesterol, and help you absorb vitamins like A, D, E, and K. They're team players. But here's the kicker. Most Americans don't eat enough healthy fats. Nope. They eat pizza with refined grains in the dough, pepperoni, and cheese, which is mostly saturated fat, and burgers with a bun that's refined grains, and cheese, which is unsaturated fat, and cheese, and more cheese. In fact, Americans eat about 42 pounds of cheese per person, and maybe that's why heart disease is the #1 killer. But let's make this practical and talk about some real-world fat fixes, because you do need fats and you need the right kind of fat. Unsaturated fats are better. They've got that bond and it breaks up the chains and it keeps them from lining up straight and clogging up your arteries. So swap out saturated fat for unsaturated fat. Instead of cooking with butter, use olive oil. It is the basis of the Mediterranean diet, which is the most time-tested diet to prevent heart disease. It's also the foundation of the DASH diet, which is used to treat high blood pressure, the Portfolio diet, which is used to treat high cholesterol, and the MIND diet, which is used to help prevent and even sometimes reverse early cognitive decline. Olive oil is better than butter. There, I said it. And add seeds or nuts to your oatmeal, which is a whole grain. Yes, instead of yogurt, which is a dairy fat. And swap that cheese on your sandwich for something like mashed avocado or hummus, which is made from garbanzo beans. And if you missed my last email, I shared my chocolate mousse recipe made from avocado dates and frozen chopped cherries. It's a plant-based dessert that is high in healthy fats, and everyone who was brave enough to try it said it was surprisingly good. Keep nuts and seeds on hand for quick snacks. That'll keep your taste buds happy and your heart happier. You don't have to eat perfectly, and you don't have to overhaul your whole diet. Just shift the balance and choose fats that help your body thrive. Reduce the ones that slow it down. Your future self, the one with the fabulous labs and the energy to match, will thank you. Balance your fork and stay on your toes and follow the evidence, because healthy looks good on your heart and healthy looks great on you.
The information contained in this podcast is for educational purposes only and is not considered to be a substitute for medical advice. You should continue to follow up with your physician or healthcare provider and take medication as prescribed. Though the information in this podcast is evidence-based, new research may develop and recommendations may change.